All right, folks, today we are working on my Mercury 4-stroke 115 command thrust. Been having a problem with it lately, all season really, where I can go full RPM, about 5,300-ish RPMs for, I don't know, roughly 2 minutes. And then after about 2 minutes, the thing wants to start dying down like it's starving for fuel. Can do this over and over. If I let it sit for a little while, it'll go right back to doing the same thing. I can run at 4,200 RPMs all day long. No issues. Ran it for about an hour the other day. Didn't stall out at 4,200. So thinking it's a fuel related issue. Just a little background. This is my fuel tank, and it's got a vent in the very back there. It's hard to see. You can access it. I've done away with the fuel tank potential for being the problem because we ran it with a separate fuel tank and hose going to the motor, and it did the exact same thing. So we know the issue lies in the motor somewhere. Changed the fuel filter twice, just checking that out. I've also changed this fuel line here going into the engine, just because I had to cut the other one off to get to it, to check it out. So just went ahead and replaced it, and now we're about to get into the nitty gritty of this. What I think is going to be the problem is there is a fuel pump module in the inside the engine, in the lower cowlings down here, and I think I let the boat sit for the past 2 winters without running fuel stabilizer through the engine. I put it in the fuel tank but did not let it run through the engine at all, and I'm afraid that the ethanol has got in there and done some damage in that fuel pump module. So I'm gonna start taking some stuff apart and be back in just a second. All right, we started by taking the upper cowling off to access the engine. Now we're working on taking the bottom cowling off. There's multiple bolts all over, typically 8mm. Back in here, some bolts. You got to take some bolts out of right there, and a couple of bolts right there, and then disconnect some of the electrical stuff, your water thingy there, to get these cowlings off. So let me get them off. I'll be right back. All right, so ran into something a little unexpected from some other videos I was watching. The reason I was making this video is because I could not find much on the command thrust specifically, but got the cowlings off. All right, got this side off. This side here kind of left on at the moment. Don't know if I'm going to take it off because, as you can tell, all of my stuff goes right through that cowling, and I prefer to not take it off if I don't have to, because, so here's my fuel line here, and it goes down here. This is the guy that I suspect is the problem. But in order to get that guy out, do I really have to take everything out? Or will that joker just pull right out of the bottom if I unbolt that? That's the question. So stay tuned, find out. Good news. We did not have to take all of that off. The fuel supply module came right out. There it goes. It came out right from under there, just like that. So you had to unhook these 2 hoses there, and then 3 on top. So what you've got is this this particular module here has got a fuel cooling system in it. So water actually runs in through there, does not mix with the fuel. There's a little heat exchanger. There are a couple of tubes in there that keep the fuel cool going to the engine. So a couple of tubes to take off that got water, and then a couple of them for the fuel going in, the fuel going out. Also this electrical switch or electrical circuit for the pump. It plugged in right there, just with the zip tie, cut it off, and 2 bolts. That bolt right there. There was another bolt just on the inside right there. It was mounted to the front, and she came right out. So now we're gonna open this thing up and see what's wrong with it. All right, so I took the fuel supply module apart. Be careful when you do this, because I assumed that when I took the hoses off the bottom that all the fuel would come out, and some did come out. So I was like, hey, yeah, all the fuel wasn't much, but yeah, well, when I took it apart, oh, was I mistaken. This whole thing was full of fuel. So be careful when you take this apart. Be prepared to catch it in something. So what we got here is, this is your low pressure fuel pump right here, and this is your high pressure fuel pump. This is where the fuel comes in. It goes in here, it fills up, and this pump pumps it out and goes, this pump here pumps it out and goes to your fuel well. What I noticed was, and this is what I was really hoping, was when I pulled this guy out, I don't know if you can see that. You see all that crud on there? Yes, sir. That's what I was hoping to see. I'm hoping that that was causing my problem, not letting enough fuel come in. But we're going to take the whole thing apart, keep on going, put it all back together. But hoping that was it. Woohoo! That's right. All right, just to recap, that was me running the boat at full throttle, wide open throttle, for about 15 minutes. Didn't miss a beat, ran like brand new. So that screen at the bottom of the low pressure pump being clogged up like that was the problem. I didn't get a video of after I put it back together and ran it in my driveway, because I came upon another problem that it's hard to find some information on. But when I put the muffs on the inlet water, the water intake of my motor, I put the boat in neutral and tried to test it out and rev it up. And when it got to about 2,400 RPMs, the motor started shaking violently, misfiring. I was like, oh crap, I've done something even worse to this motor, because it wasn't doing that before. Tried a bunch of different ways, different things to do. Everything I was doing was in neutral. So I just parked it for the night, didn't just left it there in my driveway. Did a little bit more research the following day, and come to find out there is a neutral rev limiter, that when the ECM of the motor sees that the engine is in neutral, it will not let you take the engine much above about 2,500 RPM, or it'll start doing exactly what it was doing to me. So word to the wise, if you're going to do this in your driveway, or you don't have a body of water close to put the boat in, put it in gear, just make sure nobody's around, and bump it, just rev it up one good time and see if it works for you, or take it out and put it in the water. So yeah, so fixed it, everything's running good. Take care.